Hey, welcome back to another Mind the Mic podcast. I'm your host Shubz, here with a special guest in the building, the Maori Pumpkin. I know him as, but also I think the first name might be Vincent Nathan. Tēnā koe, Kazi. Kei te pēhea.
Tēnā koe, kei te pai, pai mutunga e hoa. Yeah, no, it's good to be here. Having a bit of a kōrero, my brother. Hey,
Yeah.
feel free to call me any version of Vincent you like. Not many people actually call me Vincent, eh? It's like either V or Vin or Vince or
Oh, V or
Vinny.
Vin. Oh,
Or...
chat V. Or for anybody that doesn't know, the V, the Vincent, the Pumpkin, the Maori Pumpkin, no hea koe. Where'd you grow, where
hey,
you from? Where'd you grow up? All that good stuff.
so nō rāhiri ahau, kei whangarei ahau e noho ana. So yeah, I've grown up most of my life here in Whangarei. My mother's from Rahiri. She's a Harris from up there. My father's a Nathan from Te Teko, all the way down here in Ngāpuawa, old Texas.
Yeah. I got a bit of Ngāti Awa flavour in me too down those ways, brother. Yeah, brother. Yeah, a little bit of flavour down there.
Yeah, no, that's my roots. But now born and bred here in Whangarei. I don't know. I've lived in a lot of places, but I keep moving back here.
Okay.
I think what it is for me is it's the coastline, eh? It's the coastline here in summertime.
Right.
It's so accessible, so easy to get out to the beach. Kaipuana everywhere, so that's why I like living here. Plus, it's just a chill pace here too. It's not like the bigger cities. I feel like we've got everything we need here. It's just slower, and I like that. I like that chill pace.
Yeah, too much, my brother. Too much. Solid. Old. You spoke about when you were growing up, brother. How? Tell us more about that, brother. Tell us more about the upbringing, brother. You see, you lived all over the place, but like your sibling.
Yeah. So growing up here in Whangarei, I grew up in the hood. So I grew up in a place called Otangere. Quite a few people have come out of Otangere though, I must say.
Yeah. Can we rattle some names off?
What's the bro? Hang on, he plays league. He was one of our neighbours. I always forget his name.
Adam Blair? No, I don't even know. Fuck, I don't know. I know
Bro,
he's from north somewhere.
Nah, it is the Blairs. They were our neighbours. They were like 2 houses down from us. Nah, it is Adam Blair. Yeah, so like quite a few. There's quite a few. But I'd say the gangsters are the most famous. But yeah, we growing up in the hood, I think I don't know. Our hood was like there's like 35 power poles and 350 black powers, you know, and it was.
Did you want to be one when you were a kid, brother?
Nah, it wasn't
never.
a thing, eh? Like all our neighbors were, and like all my mates that I hung out with, heaps of our cousins were as well that lived there, but most of I don't know. I like reflecting on the time growing up in the hood. I wouldn't change it for anything, eh? It made it brought out the realest people, and yeah, I just remember like there was always a party happening in the hood. There was always music playing. There was always cars doing burnouts. Smell of weed was always wafting down the street. But it was home, you know. It was just like and yet today it's changed a lot. Because Otangere, the hood, was made up of like there was probably about 20 original whānau that filled that hood. And their whakapapa sits in that area. And my mum, my grandfather, my grandparents moved there with my mum and all her siblings. And so that's where our homestead is. And so all around the hood, you've got all these homesteads. And then as soon as someone mentions a whānau name, you're like, oh yeah, I know them. And that's what made the hood tight, was that all the whānau knew each other in the hood. So you couldn't get away with much because word travelled like wildfire through the hood. But I suppose I attribute a lot of my resilience in life to growing up that way. Our house was pretty safe, though. We didn't have any dramas at our house. My mum and dad weren't drinkers at all or anything like that. They
Oh,
just
true. So
they
sort
were
of
just
rose among
mahi
the
dogs.
thorns.
Yeah, my parents were just mahi dogs, man. All the time, like constantly mahi dogs. But yeah, it was still cool, like growing up in the hood. Yeah, it was good times, man. Good times. It's definitely
Yes.
changed today, though. It's definitely changed today because a lot of those original whānau have moved out of their homesteads. You know, they're renting them out to just anyone now. And obviously with the introduction of meth into Aotearoa, that changed a lot in our hoods as well. So
Did you see? Because when growing up, you would have been were you pre-myth arriving? So did you see or did you grow up through the fucking I guess epidemic?
now definitely. So yeah, now I was pre. So it just wasn't around when we were growing up. Was just never heard of. The only thing we knew about was like weed, pretty much.
Yeah.
And but nah, it was. I think it didn't like it wasn't until sort of like the early 2000s that you started to see the change in the hood. And then there was just a lot more, I suppose, like reflecting on it now, there's just a lot more social issues that started to rise out of the hood. Because the only sort of dramas we had growing up was like, it was just gang related. You know, there'd be like,
Rumbles.
there'd be like a gang rumble over there and a rumble up at the fields and a rumble down at the rugby club and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But now today, you just see more and more like it's almost like all of the like the infrastructure of the hood has just caved in on itself. But you know, there's still champions in that hood, still going hard, still doing what they can to level up OT. And I suppose I'm one of those people too. You know, like I still work in our kura there, and go and help out our rangatahi as much as I can in that space.
Well, that's big for you, right?
Yeah, massive.
With rangatahi.
And just you know, just doing what I can for the next generation, so that hopefully to ease the effects of the sort of like kino that's come through the hood.
Yeah, solid, brother. Speaking on the hood and the mahi that you do, what kind of mahi do you do with the youth and stuff like that, brother? Because I
Yeah,
know that's a big passion of yours and even a mahi of yours.
yeah, hard out, bro. So I've been a youth worker for about probably going on a decade now. But currently I'm working in advocacy, so I'm advocating for young people in state care. So any young person that's in state care, that's in oranga tamariki care, my role is to make sure that their voice is heard through the processes. So I work independently of oranga tamariki. So let's say a young person's going through court, or they're being placed into some foster care arrangement or some state care arrangement. My role is just to make sure that their voice is heard, because most of the time their voice is not heard in those places. They're just sort of like blanketed over by all the Pākehā jargon or all the court talk or all the lawyer talk. They don't understand what's going on. So I suppose I've got a responsibility to our young people to know the legislation better than the lawyers do, pretty much. And to know,
true.
yeah, well, it's so important because that's all I've got to lean on. You know,
Yep.
if it comes to it, and I have to question their practice, that's all I've got. I've only got their legislation to call them out on. I can't sort of call them out on an emotional response. I've got to use the
Yeah,
policy.
well, the pen is mightier than the sword, huh? So yeah,
Right,
right.
straight up. But no, I love it, eh? I think working with young people, it keeps you young. And you get to see the difference in generations over time. Like the generation today, they're just so onto it. They're quick, they're fast, and they're ready to move instantly. They just need they just need support. They just need someone who cares. Really, that's all working with young people is about. They just want to feel like someone cares about them. That's all.
Yeah, I'm with you, brother. Like I was I was from, I was a troubled youth myself and lived all over the place, cause he's all that kind of
Yeah.
good stuff that you spoke about, growing up in those environments, it definitely resonates your corridor, and that's it, brother. You just need someone to care, and then someone that's even if you haven't lived the experience, but you've lived around it, or someone that a lot of times you can't be what you can't see as well. Like, but the more
Mm.
people that we have in the space, as you say, doing what you're doing, it can also encourage youth, maybe even someone that's older that says, "Fuck, they like what their fella's doing. I've always wanted to do that. Let me ask him, because he looks like me. Maybe I can ask the Kazi how I get into that, mahi. You know what I mean?"
Yeah, straight up. And like that's it with like young people relate better to someone if they can see themselves in you. And I think lived experience is still like a huge part of working with young people. I feel like sometimes you have to have been there to know it yourself. And with what a lot of these young people are going through, I've been there. I've been right where they are. I've been living. I've stayed on the mates' couches. I've been homeless outside. I've been in the court system.
Right.
I've been in the justice system. And so I suppose it's about they want to see testament. They want to see a testament to someone who's come out of all of that.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I'm working with young people and then I tell them my story, they're like, "Oh, did you do that?" I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you can't cook a cook, bro. I've been exactly where you are.
So, on that though, because when you're speaking on your own lived experience, what can you share some of those for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I might as well just start from the beginning. So
Yeah,
like
let's
I
go.
grew up in a like our home life was I grew up in an awesome home life. My mum and dad were on, but they were very religious. And I
Okay.
suppose for me, I knew from an early age I wasn't religious. And that's not what I wanted for my life. I was like, on that. Not the sitting in church for 2 hours on that.
For me, cuz to be honest, it was just the whole. Hold on, like so. We didn't like this fellow that we worshiping. He's not Maori. Oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like that was my fucking simple
Hey,
thing for me was like, oh, this fella's not even like we're looking up to this fella. He's in the middle of the dirt, which is Katie Pie, each to their own. But like I'm like, I don't know, cuz. And then they're calling
yeah,
our stuff mythology. Ooh, I don't
yeah.
know, cuz. You know what I mean? I'd rather. Do I think fucking Maui stopped the sun with an net? Probably not. But at the same time, those are our stories, and you want to tell us there's all shit too. But fucking you see, yours is real. But that was my whakaro on it all. Anyway, carry on, brother.
Nah, I totally resonate with that, bro. Like, I think it's I was like, I used to question the religion a lot when I was young, but I would always get shot down, saying, "Oh no, you can't just be saying stuff like that." I was like, "Yeah, but why?" I would always question why.
Yeah.
Um,
And if you can't
and
question it, then like for me,
yeah,
in my opinion, it's like, well, then why can't I question if I'm not able to
yeah,
question something? Because the truth should stand up amongst all questions, right? If
yeah,
whatever the truth is, it should always, no matter what you throw at it, you know what I mean? It'll still be the truth. But if you can
yeah.
throw shit at the truth and it gets to the point where they say, well, you just gotta have faith. Wow, come on, guy. You know?
Mate, that's
Yeah.
what they would say. That's what they would say, brother. They would just be like, "Oh, well, that's you just gotta believe and have faith that what God's saying is right." And I'll be like, "Bro, I can't just be coming out here walking around on faith."
Actual
And
though,
so
brother. Actual,
bro,
actual though.
straight up,
And like I said, for me, just being proud Maori, also
mm,
is just how like so hold on. So I know like when you go and dive into things deeply and you go, oh, so the doctrine of discovery was ordained by the Catholic Church. Everywhere you go and colonize, pretty much everywhere you go, if it's not a Christian or if it's not this way inclined, then it becomes
yeah,
your nation and you can make it. So for
yeah,
me, I'm just like, well, no, like I'm not gonna
yeah.
believe that then. Just my opinion. Yeah,
Absolutely. And I always used to find it strange because, like, being
that's
Maori and growing up in the hood, like all my mates in the hood, they were like tuturu hard. Like, I would go
mm.
over to their houses and then, like, it was just real Maori whānau environment.
Yep, yep.
Whereas our whānau environment was church environment,
Oh,
so
but
it was
different, eh?
different. Little
Little bit
bit
different.
different,
Yeah,
like yeah, there were Maori in our church, but predominantly it was Pākehā. And I would always like there was something in the back of my mind, and I would question like, why are we not heavily involved at the marae? Why are we not going to all of these things? Why
oh,
aren't we
so it
speaking
was that.
real?
Was it that hectic you weren't going even to the marae, but I was like,
Oh yeah,
was it
bro.
that?
And
Oh, true.
I always thought, like, when one of our whānau passed away and we would wait outside the marae, I knew even at a young age that was wrong in some sense. Like, I could feel how wrong that was.
Yeah.
Down in my blood, I was just like, nah, this is, why aren't we going on with everyone else? This is stupid. And yeah, and obviously it wasn't until years later when, like, I sort of broke away from that. But what I suppose that was the catalyst, that was growing up in a religious household was the catalyst, because when you've got someone that is going to constantly question everything, well, then ultimately when I got to an age of better understanding of myself, I was out of there. Like, I was out of home. I was gone. Yeah, so I left home at 14. And yeah, and I was just a bit of a wanderer, bro. I was going from mate's house to mate's house, and I was couch surfing all over the place. And I ended up distancing myself from my whānau, because there was always this ultimatum. Oh, you can always come home, but you need to come back to the church as well. And I was like, oh, nah.
Oh, that was the only. Oh, was that the option? Because if you go
that
home,
was the option. That was the straight up option. Like, straight up. I love my
the
mum and dad.
brainwash is real.
Straight up. That's straight up, and that's what it was. It was the brainwash, and it was the indoctrination that took me, like, honestly, it took me about 25 years to rid myself of the indoctrination.
Of course, cuz.
Like, that's how long it took. Like, there were times where I would, like, have conversations with myself and think, oh, no, maybe they're right. And there were many times I tried to go back to church, but each time I did, I would sit in there and I would just think, nah, man, this is a bloodlust in here. Like, straight up, like, I'm not thriving in this environment. And I give it up to all the, all of my whānau who still go to church. Good on you.
Same, cuz all my
go
whānau,
hard.
my mates, that's your thing, cuz.
Yeah, like,
but
you
like
go hard.
for
You
me, like I don't know if it's for you, cuz same here, man. Like, whoever's listening to this too, if you want to follow, some blonde haired white fella, blue eyes from the middle of. That probably is not even real, but whatever, whether he's black, whatever, that's your own, whakaro. You follow whatever, I know a lot of it's because just like anything, where you're born and where you're raised and who are your parents is, we all indoctrinated in some way. So believe whatever you want, bro. You go hard. I'm never gonna tell people what to believe. Just for me, myself. Once I know what I understand, and I can't unknow that. I can't unknow that, because I can't remove those whakaros, those thoughts, like from my mind. So for that, and that being said, I can't willingly just go and like do this. It'll just be rubbish. I'll just be talking.
No, you're right, absolutely. And like, I think about it now, and I just think how messed up. Like, I honestly, I think, man, that was messed up what they done. Like, but in the same token, I started to align myself with Te Ao Māori, and that's when it hit me, and I was like, wow, all of my whānau are following an American religion founded by an American man.
Oh, which one are we talking about? Joseph Smith, or not that one? Or the other one?
Nah, what was
Seventh-day
his name?
Adventist?
His name was Charles Taze Russell.
That's Seventh-day Adventist, is it?
Nah,
no, Jehovah's Witness. Jehovah's Witness. Oh yeah, one of those three. What was all of those?
Yeah, they're all the same. To me, they're all the same. They all come from America, and they all colonized the religion.
I think Taz Russell learnt from the Seventh-day Adventist dude. That was his teacher.
Yes, he did, and he broke away.
He broke away, brother. But and a lot of it was based on predicting shit that was going to happen, but never happened. Then like all of that kind of stuff. Absolutely. Now I've done heaps of deep dives on a lot of these different things, because I think if I'm gonna have an opinion on something, I should understand it to as full of extent as I could. Yeah, I knew the name rang a bell. I just didn't know which one of those three it was. But yeah, carry on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They
that's a hectic one too, cuz no blood, no birthdays, no fucking.
No nothing. And I suppose I don't feel like I missed out on. I don't feel like I missed out on a lot growing up in that religion, but what I think the one thing I did miss out on, and I think this is pivotal, was who I was as Maori.
Oh
Um,
yeah, of course, because that's what
and
they
you
did. They
know,
stripped away that.
yeah, and that was massive. That was massive to me. And it wasn't until I started, like when I left the church and when I left home,
Yeah.
and when I started to associate with all these other whānau, and I was just like, oh man, this is buzzy, and I loved it. But then that sort of led me down a pathway of association that wasn't. That didn't serve me well, and just ended up getting into the drug scene, into the alcohol scene, and it was just this constant. For years, my life was just in full blown send it mode,
Yeah.
and yeah,
End it.
yeah. Yeah, it was just send it. Like the weekend started on Wednesday and you went through to Saturday. And you got to remember, I'm still quite young, you know, I'm still like 15, 16, 17 at this age. Um, and it was just a send it mode, man. And I don't even know where I got the money from me. I remember being on an independent youth benefit. I remember selling some tinnies and stuff like that. But
Yeah, there's a way, cuzzy. There's a way.
yeah, there was always a way. There's doing odd jobs here for a few gangsters around the place, and
Yeah.
and yeah, but then like that pathway then became a destructive pathway. So that path of the drugs and the alcohol and the that lifestyle just ended up getting me in trouble, really, because I suppose it was like when you have never done something before that, and because I'm the type of person that just wants to try everything all the time, being surrounded with the group of mates that I had, we were just troublemakers, and we were always looking for, like, not looking for violent trouble, but we were always like scheming something. Go rip off someone over here, go rip off this car over there. And we were always scheming something. And then, like, I'd probably say we were like if I was a young person today, I would be one of the Ram Raiders. That would be me.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like that
yeah,
would be
yeah.
me, like straight up. That was us. And so, so I found myself in the courts all the time. And then, like, you know, was starting to rack up a bit of a record for like burglaries and stealing and stuff like that.
Yeah, the glories.
Yeah. And then and then eventually served some time. That's where it all led to. And bro, that was an eye opener, because I remember going inside, and just that culture in there was just so different.
How long were you? How long did you serve?
I had done 18 months.
Oh, there's still a leg out, cousin.
Yeah,
Or was
yeah,
it
yeah,
in a
yeah.
year of nearly 2
Yeah, it
years
was
of
more
your
than a
life? Was it a
year.
year now?
But man, that
What the? What was that one? What did they get you for on that one?
I had about 1,600 tinnies.
Oh, yeah, that's a few.
Yeah, so it's quite a lot.
Yeah, that's a few tinnies.
And
if they weren't tinnies, maybe we might have got less.
yeah,
Cause
it would
like
have
if
been
they weren't all
different.
tinnied up,
Yeah, it would have been different. It wouldn't have
yeah.
been
But no,
like
I just wrapped my tinnies up and smoked them like over
and that's
time.
what I
Yeah.
would do, you know. I would sit there and I would be bored and stoned, and I'd be like, oh no, I'm just gonna sit here and make more tinnies. And so that's what I got caught with.
But I never intend to sell these. I just want to.
Yeah. They just look nice like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I suppose when that cell door closed, bro, that was rock bottom for me.
Yeah.
That's when
Take
I
us through the
realized,
haircuts.
like, and I was 20 at this point. It was 2 days before my 21st.
Before the 2 days before your 21st, when the cell door closes.
Yeah. 2 days before my 21st. So what was that? That was 12th of February 2004. And it was, you know, what was crazy was like, I couldn't believe I couldn't believe I was in there. I was sort of in denial a little bit. I was like, hey, like, even through the courts, through the court, I was just like, I felt like I didn't have any say at the court case or anything like that. I felt like my lawyer didn't even want to be there. And I was just like, hey, why am I here? Why am I even in here? Like, it buzzed me out. And I just thought, I'm not.
Had you ever been like juvie or anything like that before?
Nah, it was straight to adults. But back then, the 3 strikes, and I was on my 3rd strike. And so it was.
Struck out, eh?
Yeah, struck out, cuz. And
like,
honestly, babe, I was tripping out. I was like, why am I in here? Like, all these other people in here.
Yeah,
like,
and the murderer.
This is me. I was like,
and the
this ain't right. Like, straight up, I was like, nah, this ain't right. And then anyway, I just I got over myself because I get over stuff really fast. So I got over myself within a few minutes, and then I just thought, I'll settle in for the 18 months. Here we go. And it was scary, like,
take us through the journey, brother. Take us through the journey.
Like, I remember walking into the unit, and one of the things I remember walking into the unit, and then I just remember all the dog calling from the closed cells. Ooh. And I was like, oh nah. But then I remember on the way down, there were a couple of big gangsters in the paddy wagon on the way down, and they're like, "Oh, is this your first lag, boy?" And I was like, I felt like I was stuck in between those 2 gangsters on One Two Warriors.
True.
Yeah, that was me. I was like,
want your pitch.
And then, but then I suppose that's the benefits of growing up in the hood. You can relate.
Yeah, 100%.
And I was like, yeah, it's my first time. And then he said something that just stuck with me. He was like, whatever you do when you walk in through those doors, don't be anyone else but yourself. Don't put on an act. Don't be anyone. Just be yourself. Don't raise your shoulders. Just be yourself. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, then all good. And he was like, who you are here talking with us? Be this person. Don't be anyone else. Because if you put on an act, everyone will see right through it and you won't last long. And I was like, oh, okay.
Where is this, brother? What prison are we going to right now?
I'm going to the remand at the moment. I'm going to I'm going to the remand before I go out for sentencing. So yeah, and then when I was sentenced, I went down to Hawke's Bay and then to so at the time there were no beds in prisons, so we were being shipped all over the country,
all over the place,
and we were being put into courthouse cells as well for some nights. So yeah, we were sleeping in different court cells. So when I finally got sentenced, when I got sentenced, I stayed at Mount Eden for a little bit at the Rock. Bro, that place is scary. Stayed at the Rock. And then,
Wait, like people wise or?
Oh, nah,
why you wise? Why you
wise? Bro, there's still graffiti on the wall since the 1800s.
Yeah, some
Frio
prison
shit. It's like a castle, bro. It's cold.
They got the old Frio prison here. I went for a bit of a jack. Must be same vibes.
Straight up. But it was that was hard nuts prison in there. And then
any rumbles out?
Nah. See, and I think this is what it was inside, it's really clicky. So there's all the cliques, bro. You go out to the yard, all the islanders hang out with the islanders, Maoris with the Maoris, Chinese with the Chinese, etc. And everyone's just in their different cliques out in the yard. Yeah. But me being who I am, I've got a knack of just making mates with everyone.
Yeah.
And so I didn't see the divides of the cliques, so I was able to get on with everyone in the unit straight away, straight off the bat. First night there in the morning when the cells opened up and it was breakfast, I suppose I've just got a natural ability to just interweave myself into the culture that already exists in a place. And that's what I done. And I was also the youngest in the unit at that time too. And didn't have anything, but I soon managed to make bros with some of the bros that were back up here from Whangarei, from the hood. And they're like, oh, where are you from? I was like, oh, Tangarei. Because it happens, bro. You come out of your cell, and if you're the new person, the circle forms around you, the suss you out circle. Like, who are you? Why are you in here?
And because you moved so much, you would have probably got used to that,
Yeah.
and learned how to
But
navigate
a
it.
lot of the time you'll move sometimes with some of the same bros from the unit, so you're all good. You know, you at least you got
Okay,
a bro with you or something like that. There might be like a couple of yous, two to four of yous that go on and transfer together to a different prison.
How many did you do, brother? How many different places did you move to in 18 months?
So done Mount Eden.
How long?
Done by. I was at Mount Eden for like I think like 5 weeks. And then I was in Waikeria for that must have been about 4 weeks.
Waikeria, yeah.
Oh, that prison's hearty. That's the heart. I'd say that was one of the heartiest prisons I ever been to, because it's a mobster prison. So I saw Mongol Mob down there, and man, the hardest of the hard in there. But once again, you know, I think it was just my personality. I just got on with everyone. It didn't matter who you were. And I'm like I felt like I grew up with some really scary people in our hood, so nothing really scared me at that point. And because I didn't walk around like like some of the people that came in, I was like, oh, bro, you don't need to walk around like that, bro. Yeah. And then I spent the rest of my leg in Hawke's Bay, in Turangi. And then, came up here too. So Ngawha was just opening up here in Northland. So came up here for, it wasn't actually open, but they were testing out a wing. So came up here for 2 weeks.
Do you think that experience of not being in one spot for the whole time, do you think that helped you? Because you don't like, you know, like you took to a lot of brothers, and then like obviously you still were in prison and you had your freedom taken away from you. But do you think you'd be a different person if you didn't? That experience was just in one place the whole time. Like, do you think that, or you know, do you think your experience would have been a lot different? You know what I mean? Like then
probably because like when you get into like well, I suppose it depends. I think everyone gets shipped around a lot. But when you finally settle into like the Hawke's Bay camps, like I met some fellas that have been in those camps for like, you know, 10 years, and I was like,
imagine that,
bro. I was like, oh no. And then there were people that would like put themselves into solitary, like voluntary solitary. So
can I give someone a dong or something, or do something to get in there?
So yeah. Or well, they just didn't want to be around any of the prison population, so they would go into solitary. They would voluntarily go into solitary confinement, bro. And so one day we got put into one of the solitary wings, because they were doing something in our wing, and we got put into the solitary wing. They emptied it out to allow our wing to go in there, and I got in there, bro, and I was like, wow, people choose to be in this wing. And basically, bro, it was like your room was like a double door locker. So it had one door and then another door. So this door would open, the screws will come in and leave your food there. Then they'll close that door, and then your room door would open.
Yeah, those ones.
Yeah, those ones, the double doors. And then your room itself, bro, was like, it was literally a stainless steel room. That's all it was. Stainless steel room with a bed, no TV.
Ventilation. There was the ventilation system.
Yeah, there was some ventilation. Yeah, there's definitely ventilation.
And then there's
you've got like a tiny little yard for your room that you can walk out to. But that was it. And because if you go into voluntary isolation, it's a 23-hour lockdown every day.
So you're only allowed in that thing.
So you're only allowed in your yard for 1 hour, and then your 23-hour lockdown in that cell. And I just think, and bro, we were only in there for the day, and we had to abide by the 23-hour lockdown rule. So we were only in there for a day, and me just being in there for like 8 hours, bro, I was like, oh nah, you go nuts in here. But people,
could you feel any like speaking on Waidu in there? Could you feel any like where did you feel them? Where was it the most taumaha? Where was the most, like the heaviest in your hiding around the prison system of Aotearoa? Where did you feel like, oh fuck, this is the place?
It was probably the Rock at Mount Eden.
Yeah.
Like that place was not good, man. Like you could feel because you know the Rock was also used as to imprison our people when the government was committing so many injustices against our whenua and against our people.
Prisoners
you
of
could
war
feel
too.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
you could feel that in there. You could sense that so much injustice had been carried out in that place, and there was like, if those walls could talk, like you could feel the screaming, you could feel the tears, you could taste the blood. It was everywhere. It was rampant in that prison. And I remember saying to one of my bros years later, like, man, if there was one place I would never want to be again, it would be Mount Eden Prison. And then even in the yard, bro, there's this wall. There was this wall in the big yard, and it had names all over it. And I remember asking one of the boys, and I was like, bro, why does everyone write their names on their wall? He's like, no, that wall's tapu, don't write your name on it. Because everyone who's written their name on that wall has come back here. And I was like, hey, everyone. And then I was like, yeah, everyone, I'm gonna go. And so I'm gonna break.
Did you write it on there? Did you write it on
I
there?
wrote my name.
I would have
across
done the
whole
same,
wall.
cuz. I would have done the
wrote my
same,
name
cuz. Let's see
across the whole-
then.
Bro, and that's what I done. And I was like, and he was like, oh, cuz, you're coming back. I was like, no, I'm gonna cover up. I'm gonna write it on the whole wall. And so I wrote my name.
I write it on this whole fucking prison, mate. I ain't coming back.
Like, testament. You remember this name? He ain't coming back here. You'll never see him here again. But like, even the screws, I never understood why they call them screws before prison, but going through prison now, I understand why they call them screws, because they're screwed in the head. A lot of them.
Yeah.
That's why they call them screws. Is because they're on another level of power trip. There's a whole, like, people don't realize that there's a whole community in prison, and it's governed by the prison guards. And I think in all the time I was there, I met 2 really good prison guards. That was it.
Out of all the prisons you
and that was probably out of 100 prison guards. There were 2 amazing ones, but the rest of them power trip hard, man. They were like some of them would walk out into the yard and literally say it. They would be like, I'm God around here. That's what they would say. Those are the words that would come out of their mouth. And I used to sit there thinking, wow, who hurt you? Like, what's going on for you at home? And it just made me think about, like, no wonder why our people have such a hard time coming up, because the systems that institutionalize them are built to keep us down. There was no rehabilitation, bro, the whole time that I was in there.
Of course not.
It was just the cycle. Go through the cycle, get locked up every day. I must say, though, that food is good in prison. Food's amazing. You get well fed inside.
What kind of food are we talking about, guys?
So it changed. So there was a menu there was a 2 weekly cycle menu. But everything from like shepherd's pies to fried fish to hangi, to lasagnas and pastas, and I'm not talking like little servings, cause like big, like fill your plate up servings. You get all the lashings, the breads, the sauces, the butters, milks, biscuits, and it's like breakfast, lunch, tea, but then like morning tea and afternoon tea in between all of that as well. Dessert, ice cream, fruit salad, cake, and then every now and then you'd have a barbecue in the water, or like a hangi, steam hangi, and stuff like that. But kai was, you were never not hungry. Inside there was always massive kai. But same thing, even in reflecting on myself while I was in there, I would even look at others that were in there, and I would be like, why? Like, I swear, like half of our unit didn't need to be inside, just because of the people that we were. And I was just like, bro, we're all good people, like straight up. Like, yeah, we done some crimes, but based on our character and who we were, I felt like we were really good people, and that's what I just couldn't get. And talking about the institutionalization, when I left, bro, like the night before my release, I was down in Turangi, and I had to jump on a bus, and one of the officers was going to take me to the bus, and so they woke me up early in the morning to go into the office, and I got in there, had my breakfast, bro. And you know what the last word one of the officers said to me? She comes straight up to me, and she was like, and all she said, she looked me straight in the eye, and she was like, I hope you have a good trip, Nathan, because they call you by your last name. She was like, I hope you have a good trip, Nathan, but you'll probably be back soon. That was what she said.
Wow.
And I just looked at her and like, I just looked at her and I was just like, and I said some stuff to her. I won't say it on the live, but
yeah.
like I straight up said some stuff to her, and then she just looked at me and I was like, yeah. So hurry up and open the door and start the car. But just to me, it was just like, oh, you were just trying to get one final kick in the guts, say, before we leave. And I was like, how many other people have
Was
you said
was she all right up to that point, or was she always a egg?
No, she was always a bit of an egg.
Right.
Yeah, and she said it too when the other officers went around. She had waited for them to go out of the space, and then she came over and said it. And I was like, "You're lucky if ever I catch you on the streets." But yeah, I suppose there were times in there though that it offered me time to really reflect on who I am and who I was being, and did I want to get out to be the same person? Did I want to get out to be surrounded by the same people? Because when I came back up here to Whangarei on the bus, you know, the first people to, this was a buzzy one, bro. So the first people, my mum and dad were coming to pick me up. And yet the first person that I bumped into was one of the old bros before I went into prison. As soon as I got off the bus, it was like right there. And he was like, Vince, and I was like, "Oi!" And it was like, I sort of was like, because I was different at that point, and I didn't really want to be around all of that scene anymore, you know?
Go backwards.
And yeah. And I was just like, oh, hey. And then he was like, oh, do you need to ride back over? And I was like, no, I'm going to stay with my olds. And then, anyway, ended up going back to my old lady and them's house. They were staying over in Dargaville at the time. And went over there. And then, it was funny how quickly I was able to sink into bad habits again. So literally the next day, I walked up the road to my bros, went and got my steps to freedom, and walked up the road to my bros and was like, oh, let's get on it. But then, I remember my mum saying to me, she was like, hey, you're just going to go backwards. Are you just going back to the same mates again? And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to go say hi, see how everyone is. And then I got up there and then we started getting on the piss, bro. And then I remember there was a point in the night where the alcohol kick came in and I switched and just let everyone in that room have it. Because to me, I was like, they were like all celebrating that I was out. And then I realized in that moment that none of them had my back, through any of that time. And I let them all know. And I was like, where were all of yous? None of yous. Like to the point where I had flipped up the table, bro. It was just a switch and they're like, bro, you all got it. I was like, nah, all of yous, none of yous were there. Not even a letter, not even a phone call, nothing. Not a nothing. You guys are hardcore and you guys are nothing. All of yous. And then I remember leaving that party, bro, and it was massive because I still held like a lot of respect amongst my mates. And I just remember like being so angry and hurt that they were all celebrating my return. But really, in that moment, I realized they weren't actually celebrating me. They were just celebrating everything I brought to the table. And, there they were drinking all my piss and smoking all my cigarettes. And that was crazy to me. And I left and I never went back. And I remember going down to my mum's in the morning. And then she was like, are you all good? Like, how was that? I was like, nah, it wasn't good. And then I was like, I need to get out of here. I need to change. I need to go and do something. And so I came back over here to Whangarei, and this was all within a week, bro, out of prison.
Because where were you before? Where was your mates in there?
Over in Dargaville. So that's about half an hour.
Oh,
yeah, over on the west coast. And so I came back over here to Whangarei. My sister had a flat here, and I just asked her if I could come stay with her, and she was like, yeah, all good. So I stayed with her, and then I was walking downtown one day, and I bumped into an old schoolmate. We were best of mates. We actually grew up in the church together, and we were best mates.
This is after when you're living with your sisters.
Yeah, this is the preceding week after getting out of prison, living at my sister's
So like
by the
04,
Friday sort
05.
of thing. Yeah.
05, 06 around there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then I was just walking down the street in town, and then he was walking towards me. And it was just like this massive reunion, bro. And I was just like, "Oi!" And then he knew straight away because it had been years, bro. It had been years since we hadn't seen each other since high school. And he just looked at me and he just said, "Bro, you all good?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm just trying to get my life sorted out, eh?" And then he pretty much like, yeah, he just said to me, he said, "Hey, come live with me. I'm just staying at mum's." And so that's what I done. I ended up moving from out of my sister's, and then just went and moved in with him. And the real cool thing was, bro, is that he just helped me. He gave me the space to thrive, because he knew how he knew how talented I was. We were both talented as young people in high school, both of us.
In what field? In what?
Oh, and all sorts and everything, and music and performing arts and hair. Like he knew that I like to do hair and all of that stuff. And so yeah, he just gave me the space to really grow and really introduced me to people who were just so different, people I'd never been around before, people that were, I don't know, woke, I suppose, if that's even a word to use in that sense. But yeah, so literally things moved so fast. I ended up having an interview at a barber shop, and started working there as a barber. I joined a local theatre company, doing stage productions, and from that, there was theatre has so many diverse, different people in it, and I don't know. I just managed to surround myself and create this new clique, that was just like wow to me, and then started getting into music as well. And I always used to like, when I was with all the boys in the hood, I always used to like freestyle rapping. And then I remember one time, one of my mates from theatre was like, "Oh, you rap sometimes, eh? You should try spoken word poetry." And I was like, "Oh, yeah." So I had never heard about it, so I started looking
You're
into
the
that.
spoken word.
Yeah, well, 2 years later, bro, I took out the national comp in 2007.
Got us a little something for the people, Loa.
Oh, off the top of my head, hang on, let me pull one out of my
brother,
archives.
do what you gotta do, my brother. Do what you gotta do.
So yeah, because spoken word was really, I don't know, it allowed me a platform to speak my truth, to stand and perform in front of people, and for them to feel that same truth as well. So it was just a real, that was massive for me going on that journey.
Here we go. The bro's gonna do us some. He's diving in the archives to get us a little bit of spoken word poetry.
I honestly, I haven't done spoken word in a while, eh? I've only been doing workshops in schools with it, but in terms of performing, I haven't performed in probably the last like 5 or 6 years. So I'm diving deep.
Just dive deep, baby. Let's get those big bangers. Let's go.
What we got in here?
Hey, anybody that's listening, yeah, appreciate you. Everybody, any of the audio platforms, if you're listening audibly, this video will be on YouTube as well. If you're listening audibly on any of the audio platforms, it'll be on YouTube. So by the time you listen to this, it'll be up. So check it out. With the bone.
Baby. But yeah, it was crazy. Like, it was just crazy being, what's the word, being catapulted into this new sort of like way of being, way of life.
Mm.
She's not showing up. Try a different drive.
Yeah, doing good, doing good, doing good, doing good. You know. The spoken word.
Hear the spoken word. Hold up.
Yeah, I didn't know that one was in the repertoire, cuzzy. So as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, we gotta get a little bit of that. We get a little bit of that somewhere.
So then this one. Sorry, bro. I've got so many folders with so much
Hey, tip,
pieces
brother,
in
do what
them.
you gotta do. Do what you gotta do, my brother. Safe as.
It's in here.
Da, 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 da. Oh, goody, brother. Take your time. Take your time. Hey, we meant to do this. This is like was it the third time we meant to do this, brother? Finally got it done. Finally got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You got any tamariki, brother, or anything?
Nah, no kids, bro. Leave that up to my siblings.
Uncle Judy's, eh?
Straight up. Nah, I'm just not I don't know. I found one of my sister's kids straight from hospital.
Yeah.
And I said to her, I said, hey, when you get better, because she suffered heavily from bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
And she was just not in a space to be having kids. And so I took my nephew. But and I said to her, I said, hey, when you get better, you can come get him. But I didn't realize how attached I would get to him, eh?
True. How
And
long until she got better?
So I had him for a year.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
lag too, huh?
And then she got better. Like she got really better. She got really good. And then she came back and she asked for him back. And oh man, it was hard.
Yeah.
But like
Are
I'm a person,
you just on your own, cuz? Or
Yeah.
no partner?
Nah. But hey, I'm just a person of my word, and
Yeah, but it's still hurt their heart.
yeah, it was tough.
100, brother. When they're in your, basically, those little ones, man, they're different. But now, at least you're doing mahi with the rangatahi. Yeah, love that stuff, brother. Love that. Yeah, we're just going through well, not the Vatican archives because poo, but yeah, the archives. The bro's probably got as much archives as the Vatican has.
Oh, bro, now I'm thinking I can't access the drive from this device. I've got to hang on. Let me try another device.
Yeah, let's try another device, my brother. Say fast. I want to hear some of this. Maori Pumpkin 3000.
Straight up,
Vincent
I
Nathan
was trying to look for
spoken
one of my
word.
most recent pieces.
Oh yeah, whatever you got.
Oh, actually,
I love bars. I love listening to I love listening to spoken word poetry. Yeah. What else you do in the music? You see, music wise, what just that kind of mahi, or you do like other things? You sing in there?
Nah, I'm all over the place with music, bro. Like, at the moment, I'm learning to play taonga pūoro at the moment. So,
Oh yeah,
pūtātara, pūtorino.
yep.
So learning in that space. Plus, just recently become a kaihaka as well. So just done my first stand at the Te Tai Tokuto Regionals this year. So we're off to Te Matatini.
Yeah.
It's going to be on.
Oh, that's your first. That's your first jam.
Yeah.
That's good. Where you at? Where you at in the lineup?
So we came fourth at our regionals.
Oh, no, you personally. Where you standing in the?
Oh, I'm in second row. I'm on the end. In second row. But just so stoked to be, I always wanted to do kapaka, but just one of my bros asked me for years, bro. He was just like, come stand in the lines, and I was like, oh nah, dumb. No, I don't want to come and do that. And then just I don't know, it just felt right. I think with everything that's going on with the political environment that we're in at the moment.
Let's speak on some of that too, brother, before you get out of here, if that's all right.
Yeah, hard. It just felt right to to step into that space of mana motuhake. And I always think like I think if we're not doing as much as we can in spaces as Māori, well, then I always feel like we're breaching our rights in Te Tiriti just as much as Pākehā, just as much as the Crown are. Where is it?
Not the tattered. Yeah, fam, just waiting for the brother. He's just trying to find through one of his drives his thing.
Yeah, it's always a thing, like when you're when you're a poet, like, and you're presenting in a space for the first time, you just want it to be right.
No, you do. Hey, kei ahui te mana, brother. It's up to you, brother. Oh, the bro T him was here church anyway.
Hey, my cousin. Yeah, we were just down at our whānau reunion, me and him.
Oh, that's good. Too much. What the whānau? Let's go. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'll put this out. I think it'll come out. I've got so many backed up because it'll probably be next week. Like the recording will go out on all the platforms, isn't it?
Oh, yep.
Just smacking out so many. This be like we're looking at like 170 because in 4 months.
Yeah,
around about. Yeah. So far.
Actually, I might just do this one. Actually,
Yeah.
So this one, I suppose this is a response. So I grew up like I was like, even though I was in the church and stuff, but growing up in the hood, we were heavily influenced by American rap.
Oh yes,
like
talk
heavily
about
influenced. So I grew up in the era of Tupac, of MC Light,
yes.
and also too, I suppose wrapped up in that era was like Maybach music, soul music, all of that stuff. And then as we sort of started to move into the modern day, like I started getting myself into Kanye and stuff like that. But then when I became a spoken word artist, I started to see between the lines of a lot of rappers and who they were and their mentality. And I didn't like some of it, and I did like some of it. And so I suppose this piece was a response to that. Yeah, I never did name this piece, but yeah, I suppose it was in this piece. I suppose I'm calling out rappers for the messages, some of the messages that they're sending, and how that can affect young people's minds. So here it is.
All right, brother.
Right. Excuse the language.
No, go hard.
I know niggers in tin boots that'll stomp your face through a fucking floor. Prisons that got bars that are better than yours. You know, I would say I'm sending you bastards, but if it was left up to me, you would have been gone by the morning after. If Asada Shakur broke out of prison, why would I respect anybody doing a sentence for no snitching? You got your niggers out here dying deaths bloodier than Christ, yet not even worth half the sacrifice. If Malcolm killed for freedom, why would I respect anybody out here killing for bragging rights? You females are MCs, but you half the light. All you do is rap about your pussy, say your walls and your rhymes are half as tight. You're the baddest bitch, all the bark but half the bite. Never needed Martin to tell me that a million men weren't made to march to Maybach music. Rewind, never need Martin to tell me that a million men weren't made to march to Maybach music. There's no secondary to revolutionary, so I'll put cavalry in my vocabulary. And if I'm my father's child, then my resurrection is hereditary. All you talk about is pussy, clothes, and gunplay. But God so loved the world that he sent me to spit you at Easter Sunday. Your reign is over, it's his son's day. Don't make it rain if you can't make it grow. Don't say you love your hood but can't spit a 16 about hope. Don't say you believe in God if you're the same man that gained the whole world for the price of your soul. Don't say that numbers don't lie if they made you believe that you could put a price on your soul. And all you have to show for yourself is a body full of tattoos and nice clothes. Answer me this. Is a fly nigger really a fly nigger if no one's around to see him when the curtains close? Or do niggers who say they get bitches really get bitches as if all he fucks is hoes? Congrats, your dick may be long, but that's the only thing about you that's deep. The most harmful thing in the world is an MC with a microphone whose mind is weak. Ignorant is the man who thinks he's winning but can't pronounce the credits on his own CDs or the tags on his own clothes. I get it, you should stick to polo. It's only 2 syllables. You know, I always pictured Kanye with one of Cairo's daughters, never a fucking Kardashian. But shit, nowadays even Cairo's daughters don't even look African. If God forgives and you don't, that makes you half the man, yet all the sin. But I guess there's no point in believing in God if you can't see him. And if he's small enough to wear around your neck, I see why you think you can be him. You mistake heaven for being rich, honesty for being a clip. Soon you won't even be able to tell the difference between your daughter and your bitch.
Fucking hell, my bro. Okay. That was I like a lot of the points made in there, Cuzzy. Obviously you prefaced the whole thing before you even spell it, but yeah, there's a lot of mana in there, cousin. I get what you're saying. You're speaking to hypocrisy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As
and I see it a lot.
Yeah.
I suppose that's just the way I take in the world now. I see the hypocrisy and I'm just like, hey. And so I'm quite aware now and quite attuned to what I fill my kite with now. Like in terms of
speak on that, because I've let a lot of stuff in over the years, and especially this last being on this mission. Like I only follow shit that fills my cup, and fill cup doesn't just mean like motivational stuff. It could also just mean funny stuff, but lighthearted stuff that's just not whakahee or anything, but it's just so that's there resonates a lot, cause when you say that, because what we eat is not just what goes in our mouth. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's what our eyes see. It's what our brain processes. It's what our ears hear. It's even the atmosphere or the people that we're around. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I totally agree. Like, and that's you're right. It's the atmosphere. It's people. And it's I suppose it took me a little bit though to get there, to realize like you are the sum of everything you're surrounded by.
100.
And so so now I'm quick to leave. Like if I'm in a room and I see that the vibration of the people in that room are quite low, I'm out. I'm getting texts like, "Oh, what happened to you, bro?" I'm like, "Oh no, I'm at home." But I'm out.
Yeah, but you're protecting your own energy, cousin.
Oh,
protecting
absolutely.
your own sphere.
it's hard when I see other people that are caught in that cycle where you know someone who resonates at a higher frequency, at a higher vibration, and yet they're surrounding themselves with just low vibrations, and I'm like, bro, you need to get out of there. But not only that, just the material that they're taking in, and that can come right down to the music you're listening to the movies you're watching, to the books you're reading, and things like that. Like, don't get me wrong, like I love me some hardcore gangster rap, but I always feel like everything has its time and its place and its moments.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like me, I'm like Obi Trice all day on the way to work. That's me. I just bang it out.
Yeah.
But that's my space for it. And it's not polluting my mind at all. It's just the vibe that I'm feeling in the morning. And like, even now, like, bro, I've got, like, I would never have thought that I would have bookshelves with books full of books. I just never thought that I would be that person to have to be spending money on books, and going to libraries and reading. But now I'm quite addicted to it, and I'm just
You
like,
just make sure you got that good one, or just to make Charles Russell happy,
Bro, it's probably the
Yeah.
only one I don't have. I actually went and
Me too,
I got given a Quran. I got given a Quran
Yeah.
a few months ago, so I got that on the shelf over there. But no, it's just buzzy. Don't have a Bible sitting
Wait,
over
you
there.
know what trips me out though? Yeah, like it doesn't trip me out because it's part of the whole thing, right? We talk about the indoctrination, the like colonization came through many forms, and religion
Yeah.
was one of the biggest ways to, like, if you like, I've had this conversation with a few breeders. I had this conversation with, actually, I was pulled into it by somebody, and then they, I just gave my opinion, and obviously people get offended, but that's all right. It was with a few African American brothers, and they were, hearty, Christians and kids boy. But then they said to me, "What do you believe in?" And I was like, "What do you mean? What do I believe in?" I was like, "They're like, where do you come from?" I was like, "Oh, I'm from Aotearoa. You probably know it as New Zealand." Yeah, they're like, and they obviously went on their Googles and they go, "That's a Christian nation." I said, "See who?" Did my people like say who said that? Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're like, you should be a Christian. I was like, not exactly, because like, I said our people had our own beliefs before that. You know what I mean? For me, and then they were like, yeah, but it's a Christian nation. Then I said to them, why are you a Christian? And then they're like, oh, well, all my family have been this and that, and pretty much all four of them in this life said it went all the way back to their grandfathers or great, they came from slavery, right? Like they were so I said, so do you know your ancestors, the only good time they ever had every week was Sunday, when they could wear they could wear nice clothes, and they didn't get whipped for a few hours while they went and sung these songs, and we're told and read these verses, and told us these stories of hope, or that this guy could save you. If you think about it, right? if you want to if you want to make a people believe that this is the only way, what do? You beat them up for the whole fucking weekend, and you give them one day, or a few hours of a day where there's a bit of hope, and you through this book, you drum this into them, like, you know what I mean? And you tell them this is there. I remember, I don't know which Native American chief it was, but one of them says they taught us how to pray with our eyes closed, and when we opened them, we had their Bible and they had our land. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. So yeah, cuz like, each, like we said before, each to their own. For me, I just can't unlearn the stuff. I can't, like, know that something, even our island brothers, like I got whānau that are Samoan and Tongan, and and even learning that they'd have feces rubbed on them in some of the islands if they didn't go to church, like all of that stuff. Cuz of course you believe this stuff, you know what I mean? Of course you believe this. Like,
And
even one of the brothers, before I finished it, one of the brothers even told me from TikTok, he's like, yeah, but you know what, they told us that we were savages, and like without them we would not exist, we would not be able to exist the way we do, we would not be able to live long, and this. And I said to them, I was like, hold on, but if you want to tell people and you want to colonize people, what do you don't tell them that they lived good before you were here. You imprint in their minds that your existence, or not just your, meaning like Pahia, and like we ain't human, we are human, but I'm saying, but that your colonial system, your power structures before them arriving on that land, they wouldn't have lived long. First of all, we know that, like, a lot of health issues that our people face, and people all over the world that have high, all of these Pākehā invented kais, all of that shit. Like how the fuck do we live longer now? Like the only thing I could think of is that, like, and then this is another thing that the narratives get fucking turned and fucking shit like that get flipped, because a lot of shit can't get published by a lot of places that if it doesn't fit the already set narrative. So like if they say that Maori bones, like they only live, the oldest ones they ever found was this old, and you try and get that printed and you find alternative evidence using the same methods, like, because I know, because I've got whānau that are in that space, that are scientists, that even archaeologists that speak on it too, and they say, well, we try to get this shit printed out. I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? If you try and say that the bones are way older than the Pākehā said that they were,
Yeah,
you know what I mean, that our people live
Yeah.
for, like, no, that can't be. But even if you just use deductive reasoning and use your own, like, use common sense, which isn't common, we know, how, if everybody have all these health issues now, eating the way they eat now and all these lifestyle, how the fuck didn't we live longer? You know what I mean? How the fuck weren't we better off? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway. Hi,
And no, but you're
my
so
bad.
right,
Not
like,
my fucker.
absolutely.
This is your podcast.
No, you're straight up, you're so right. And like, it's that same argument, that you've still got Pākehā saying today that we wouldn't be advanced if colonization hadn't have happened. And like, I always have to remind them, like, I'm like, bro, we were traveling the world before you came, before Te Tiriti came. We were traversing
like,
the world. We were trading.
When the Greeks were still throwing spears before Africans, because Africans taught them the written language, before Africans had taught them the written like written literature, they were throwing spears, and our people were navigating with the stars. And
Absolutely,
like, come
absolutely.
on, Gus. And
I'm
that doesn't
like,
mean we're
bro,
better than anybody either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That just means that,
and
like,
you can see that in the whakapapa of where we come from. If you go through like the Pacific Islands and you go all the way up through the Pacific Rim, you can see the whakapapa of our travels and how like actually advanced we were at traversing the oceans, and traveling around, and putting it in.
but they didn't put us on. They didn't put us like our tupunas. They get put on like, all we hear is Aristotle, Plato, Homer, fucking, is that it?
Yeah.
You know
it's
what
like
I mean?
we hear about Captain Cook, but no one ever talks about Tupaia, Like
Nah,
Captain
none of
Cook
that.
would never have been able to travel if it
We
wasn't
never
for
speak to
Tupaia.
these people. We would have got annihilated.
Yeah.
Like,
Nah, I
Captain
get
Cook
that,
wouldn't have
man.
made it
I'm
back
just
to
like,
England, or
it's
wouldn't
all
have
been
made it to
whitewashed
Hawaii.
out.
Actual, though. Well, you know what's crazy
Straight
though?
up.
I find it crazy. And then as soon as they had no need for Tupaia, as soon as they got to Australia and they realized that the bro couldn't speak Vereo here on this whenua where I live, the bro was chucked down on the bottom of the deck. Yeah, like, eat us. Like, the bro done, you know what I mean? After everything the fella done there.
Yeah, after everything. And that's like, that's the thing. And I always maintain today, that like colonization didn't just come with people, it came in thought forms. And religion is one of the biggest tools of colonization.
Oh,
it's
the
rampant.
biggest, it's your whole world view is shaped on that. You know
But
what
also
I mean?
rampant within our own tikanga and our own kawa, like I've seen, like
it's not even
like
now
for
there.
instance, like going like at the marae, down at the marae, and it was Easter Sunday, bro. And then one of the aunties gets up because they are like half of our uncles and aunties are hahi hard, and then the other half are not. And then you could see, like, as soon as
you
she
say what I
started
think you're gonna say, carry on.
and then she gets up and she starts the Sunday service, bro. And then you see my other uncles and stuff rolling their eyes because they're like tutere Māori hard, but they don't say anything. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, bro, so someone just shut this down, because it was our own people indoctrinizing us into a colonized way of thinking. And I was just thinking, wow, auntie, like, I get that you're a pastor in the church and all of this stuff, but here you are in our whare tipuna teaching us about the colonizer's God, in the colonizer's Bible. And that just, stuff like that blows my mind. But on the flip side to that, I also get why Maori engaged with Christianity. And I actually went on a hikoi a few years ago throughout the lower parts of the North Island, where Christianity affected most of the hapu and iwi, and went throughout Taranaki and all of these different places, and even went to this church, bro. Where was it? But anyway, from the outside, it looks like a normal church, but then you go on the inside and it's fully carved, tuku panels and everything. And and you'd swear you were inside a whare, being on the inside of it. And I think what I got from that hikoi was that some of our tupuna aligned with this God of the Bible, because all of our atua, because at that time we were we were polytheistic. We had many different atua, but then this Pākehā God came along, and they saw all of the qualities of our atua in one, and so they adopted that atua in his ways, which is typical of polytheistic peoples. They will grab whatever they want when they want it. And so that buzzed me out a little bit, going on this hikoi through different hapu, different iwi that had been heavily affected by Christianity, and listening to the stories of the people. Even Ratana, going to Ratana Pā, same thing.
Yeah.
It's, so many Māori are Ratana and belong to that hahi, but because of a Pākehā God. And I suppose and one thing I always question too is like, who are we to say that God does or doesn't exist? Like if we believe just as much in the existence of our atua, then we can't discount the existence of every other people's atua and gods. I always see atua and gods as different, but that doesn't that we then have to accept that all the Egyptian gods exist, that all the African gods exist, that all the Australian gods exist.
Just as much as people believe in that the one of the Bible. There's people that were Vikings that believed in Thor, and that sounds crazy because people have made movies in Hollywood and stuff like that. But literally, and my whakaaro is never like, it's not based around like you should believe anything. My whakaaro is just that I can't, because like I can't follow that. I can't follow that because of the way it was implemented into our society and the way it was forced upon us. And yes, you're right. A lot of our tupuna did adopt Christianity, but then you know what I mean. A lot of them did a lot of things that At the same time, they were all fucking human, just like you and I. You know what I mean? And they thought they were doing what was right. You know what I mean?
And I think
and this
too, like,
I've done heaps of shit that I thought I was doing that was right, and I look back now and I was like, you know what I mean? Like,
but I think too, our generation, like, our generation, like if we look back on our parents and our grandparents' generation, they're done, but I think with our generation, we're in the process, like they're done as, there's no changing them.
Well done, cuz. Well done. Pretty much, brother.
But like for us, I think we're in the thick of decolonization. So we're in the thick of decolonizing ourselves, our culture, our way of being, and we're stripping away. We're slowly starting to strip away everything that that has held us down, that has chained us down to our core being. And I love it. I love being in the state of decolonization. And there's lots of different things that lots of different people do, whether it's being more attuned to things within Te Ao Māori, being more active within Te Ao Māori, whatever it is, people are sort of taking up the mantle, I suppose, and running with it. And then in turn, they're becoming that to their whānau and their children. And I think it's cool. And it's like, I suppose if people ask me like, well, what are some of the little things that you've changed in your life? And I suppose like one that I've recently done now is I don't celebrate my birthday on the Pākehā Gregorian calendar anymore. So I celebrate my birthday under the marama that I was born under. So I was born under Whiro. I was born under Whiro moon. So now each year on the month of February, whenever Whiro falls in February, that's when I celebrate my birthing. And it's not even a celebration now, it's more of an observation, because our tupuna never celebrated birthdays as such, but we did recognize, we did recognize the signs that were happening around at the time of one's birth.
Yeah, but you're right.
And so
It wasn't at all a thing to celebrate, like a year, like a yearly thing or a thing to
yeah, yeah,
to celebrate. Like I think that's another like colonization thing if you think about it too. Even the way they sing, but how
yeah, yeah,
depressing is
yeah.
that?
Oh, bro,
Yeah.
straight up.
How
Um,
depressing is that shite,
But even
brother?
like it's even that stuff, like even all the Pākehā, like I knew I grew up in a church where we didn't celebrate that, but my understanding and my reasoning now for not celebrating those things is
It's different.
different.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, like I don't observe like Christmas and all of that stuff anymore. I just think those are really like Pākehā, like colonized celebrations to me. Like
Well,
I love
even Christmas itself, right? If you do, anyone that does the research
yeah,
knows, any
yeah,
theologist knows Jesus wasn't born in December. Cause
nah,
if he was even a real fella, you know what I
nah,
mean. Whether or not that's up to you, fucking whatever. But he wasn't born then, according to the book. That the only
yeah,
what it was that was the time of the winter solstice when pagans would
absolutely,
celebrate the time of the winter solstice, and they try to flip it everything just like Easter. Easter was
Easter,
to worship Ishtar.
yeah,
Ishtar, the god of fertility. So they
fertility,
switched it all up. They switched it all up and put friggin' all the Christian beliefs into the pagan system
yeah,
to get rid of. Like even if you go to Rome, like I travel quite a lot because you go to Rome, you go all those places. Everywhere you see like a cross on top of those places, like they all like we're all pagan worship houses and stuff like that.
yeah.
They just try to flip it out and change the whole
But isn't it
narrative and flip the
funny how
minds of
like
all these people. That's all
isn't
it
it
is.
strange how culture does that? Like I was having this conversation with a mate of mine and I was like, you know what's funny at Easter, eh? It was like when we walk through the supermarket and we see all the Easter eggs and we don't realize where those Easter eggs originate. They originate from the fertility festivals where they would
Yes,
bring
that's right.
eggs into the fertility festivals and create and have massive orgies in
Yes,
these
yeah, yes,
festivals,
sir.
as
And you give them to
festivals of
kids,
life.
yeah, fucking weird
Yeah, and
is.
like now we're getting our kids to pick them up out of the garden. I'm like, oh no. But it's to me, I likened it to um a lolly and a gutte. So when you walk past let's say you're walking down the street and you see a sticky chewing gum on the ground,
Mm.
or a lolly on the ground, do you bend over and pick it up? No, you might, but some people do because it tastes sweet. Or I could go and pick that lolly up off the ground and give it to someone. They would never know where that lolly came from, but I know that it come from the gutter, you know. Um, and that's the
Yeah,
thing with a
and
lot
that's
of
going
these.
back to what I said, cuz
Yeah,
about like
yeah,
even though hey, your thing might be true, I've done a lot of research into even just the fella that fucking walk around, but I wouldn't
yeah.
be surprised if that same fella is Horus of ancient Egypt or even the main man of Atlantis. Like if you look into
Straight up, straight
if
up.
you look into listen to
Yes,
Thoth and all of that good stuff
yeah.
and the Emerald Tablets, but like the correlations between the similarities between Jesus, Jesus, or whoever you want to fucking call him, and the story of Horus, and even the story of Thoth the Atlantean, they all sound like the same person. If you like really go, it's
Hey,
like, holy Rick,
nah,
like have
I
they just
do.
retold the story over and over and over and recycled it? So like
Yeah.
knowing all of that, that doesn't mean that it's all wrong or you're wrong or whatever. I just can't, G. I just can't. I can't follow that, cuz that's just me, like I just can't. Sorry, Mr. Tamaki. That ain't me. You ain't getting my tithe, cousin. And that's it.
But it's that, it's the whole like Western influence itself. Like yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how many how far stretched the tentacles are, and
Oh,
when you really
brother.
start to dig and pull it up, you're like, holy shit, this is colonized. This is but it's all bloody colonized.
Yeah, hard, and you're right, because and throughout the European powers, they were all ordained by the same the same
Yeah,
mandate they had to go out and so whether it was French, whether it was Spanish, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like if the conquistadors, they're all on the same mission, because like it might not be
hey,
British, but they was all
straight
on
up,
the same mission. Portuguese, fucking all the same, you know what I mean? All the same take with the same mandate, you know what I
yeah.
mean? But
I
then,
remember we
yep,
done a traveling show, bro. We traveled the show around the country,
yep,
and it was called Rangitahua, and it
mm,
was about basically at the core of the piece was the story of blackbirding, um, and blackbirding was a practice that happened after slavery had been abolished. So slavery had been abolished globally, but the Spaniards sent out these ships that came down to the Pacific, and they would pull up to the island, and they would say to the islanders, hey, jump on the boat. We're going to go over. You can make some good money, and we'll bring you back home. But then, as soon as they got them onto the ship, they enslaved them. And what was worse was that when they actually got them over to Spain and stuff like this, the Spanish government were like, "What are you up to? You need to take these fellas back. Like slavery's done." But the captains of these, the captains of these ships were so like hard drive slave drivers. Yeah, so conditioned.
So conditioned, but
And so Tokelau, bro, was probably the worst hit island of all the islands. The island of Tokelau was decimated. All of the men were taken from their island in one swoop, only leaving the woman.
Well, there's a few islands there, but I get you, what you're saying.
And so they talk to they still sing about it today in their waiata. They make reference to the boogeyman in Tokelau, and the boogeyman is the captains of these blackbirds that came. But they lost entire whakapapa lines on Tokelau. So and because all the women were raped by the crewmen today in Tokelau, that whakapapa of the Spanish blood and the Tokelauan blood is very present. You can see it because their Tokelau people from Tokelau are a lot hairier than the rest of us in the Pacific. And that comes from the Spanish. That comes from their Spanish.
But you know what's crazy? Even you speaking on the Spanish, again, like the Arab brothers and that also conquered Spain, and so a lot of the Spanish, especially in southern Spain and that, a lot of them in southern Portugal, a lot of those brothers have like a lot of Arab roots too.
Yeah.
People don't realize too. So and some of the cousins be pretty hoodoo. You know what I mean? So
straight up,
some of that could come from the cousins too.
Straight up.
You know what people need to remember, I think, in all of that as well, brother, is like, just because all of that shit did happen to us, and we are unlearning things and that, if there's someone that's made it somewhere, whether it's success in whatever field, if someone has done it and they look like you and they come from where you've come from, you fucking can do it too. Like, you know what I mean? I think as much of because we can sit here and we can point finger forever. I think obviously
100%.
there's other things, but we also got to rise up and say, today is the day I no longer become a victim of what happened to my ancestors as well, and 100%. Also decide that I'm gonna move forward. Hey, all of the shit we can't ignore though, but I gotta, for me and my own sanity and what I want to do and achieve, I must move now. And going back to the whole transatlantic slave trade, one thing we can't forget too, and just like there was kupapa and Maori, there's kupapa and all things. It was the African kings that sold them to the Pākehās too. You know what I mean? Let's not forget that too. The African kings gave them up because it was a slave trade.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Everyone was trading, and that's I think that's just a mechanic of humanity.
Yes, humanity 100.
Like humanity itself is its own beast, and what drives humanity at its core is a sense of power, to have power over itself.
100%.
And I think that's where the modern day human, or and I'm not, and in terms of modern, I think like as soon as humans started to create global pathways by traveling, that conquest for power started to wipe away the previous way of existence for our humanity, which was, there was a time in our global history, I suppose, where we would have relied solely on the power of the planet and the universe to guide us. But then one day, one smart bastard stood up and thought, "Ooh, I'm going to take power of those people over there," and that's where it all began. That's where it all started.
Classism is a big one too, because like classism, people who are of the whatever skin color, but they think because they have more than someone else, they should be treated differently, or I should be better than everybody. That's a big one too, because like these, we talk about power structures, like these monarchies and that. Like I wouldn't know monarchy in my head, because for me, you exist on the backs of other people's, like, or takain on people's mana, taking their whenua, like, you know what I mean? Hell no. You know what I mean? Hell no. And just because, let's say, Vincent Nathan, you are the greatest king that ever lived. You loved your people. You looked after them. That does not mean your son will be.
Absolutely. Yeah,
and in
agree.
all likelihood, because he's born from you and probably has a life that's, you know, unlike most lives, and, you know, afforded a lot more opportunities, you're probably not gonna be. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Because that's just what
yeah.
happens, you know.
And you saw
Yeah.
this, you saw this through the history of times where there were good kings, good queens, bad kings, bad kings.
Mm.
You even saw this in some of our in some of our own whakapapa. Where there were
Right?
some amazing chiefs, and there were some real
Yeah.
like kino as chiefs.
Titoy. Yeah, hard because we're all
They were
fucking
like, "Hey."
human too, brother. You
Yeah,
know?
absolutely, and it just equalizes everyone when you put it back to a human level. But there's one kōrero that I always have with my young people, bro, and it's a bit of a whakatauki that I let
Yep.
them know, and I always say to them, and I drive this into them hard, is that we are the future tupuna, so act accordingly, and when I think about that, I think, and I say to my young people, I'm like, 1,000 years from now, are they going to speak of stories of you, like how we speak of stories of our tupuna? Are they going to are waiata going to be written about you? Are karakia going to be written about you? Well, let it be so. Let it be so. Make sure that our actions today reverberate not just into the near future, but hundreds and thousands of years from now. Because
Yeah.
don't be forgotten. My thing is with young people is don't be forgotten to the annals of time. Don't be someone who just exists in this life. Be someone who creates legacy, who leaves legacy, who is remembered throughout history as someone of greatness, as someone amazing. And that doesn't mean that you need to be recognized on a global scale. It just needs to mean that everything that you've done was intentional and had a purpose, because those purposes, those intentions, then were the ripple effect. So yeah, 500, 1,000 years from now, they're still talking about you. They're still talking about the whare that you built. And man, when my young people hear that kōrero, it's just like, and I'm like, hey, it's true though.
Yeah, I love it, my
Who are you
brother.
being today?
I love it. I
And
love it.
that's how
I gotta get out of here though soon, brother. But I got a couple of quick questions, and this doesn't have to be the last time we sit down either. Is it okay?
Yeah, kapai, all good.
All
Doesn't be
right.
long.
If you could eat one pie for the rest of your life, what do you choose and why? One meal. One meal.
One meal. To be honest, bro,
Yep.
like mince on toast.
Yeah.
Straight up,
Mince on
I could
toast.
eat I could honestly,
Any sauce on it or just mince on
Yep,
toast as
yep,
is?
with some
Yep.
sauce. Yep, mince on
Yep.
toast with some sauce butter.
Egg.
I could eat. Yep, I could chuck a fried egg on there. But bro,
Yep.
I could honestly eat mince on toast. I love mince. Like,
Oh boy.
mum,
That's underrated because people
a lot
look
of
at
my
you like,
mates.
bro, that's cheap as hell.
Oh, bro,
You
because a
can
lot
make
of
so
people
many
see
good
me
things.
eating nowadays. They see me like at some flash restaurants and stuff, and like
Yeah,
lots of my friends are most of my friends are foodies, hard, bro, and work in the hospital industry as well. But man, give me some good old mince, man. I could live on mince and toast for the rest of my life, quite happily,
beautiful,
brother.
my
Straight
cousin.
up.
I like it. If you could have one superpower, which one do you choose and why? Even make one up if you want.
Actually, I've been my young people. We do this a lot. My superpower. My superpower would actually be to heal. I think I think it would come in handy with a lot of people and a lot of animals. I think people just need some healing. But I've always this is how I've envisioned it. I haven't envisioned it where I'd where I'd put hands on them, and heal them. Like say a sick person comes to me or something like this. And then my young people were like, well, how would you heal them? And I'm like, I spit on them and then I rub it into their forehead. And then all of a sudden,
holy
I spit on your face and then I rub it on your forehead with my hand like this. And then all of a sudden, the spit starts to bead out. My spit starts to bead out and all these little droplets, bro, and then covers the whole body. And then boom, it happens. The healing happens. That's how I miss it.
Let's go, my cousin. I got one last for you, brother. Give me visualization. 10 years from now, what's life like for Vincent Nathan, Pumpkin 3000, Maori Pumpkin, all the aliases?
Oh yeah, 10 years from now, bro. I hope to be sitting in. I hope to have a papakainga built here in Te Taitokero by that time, and that papakainga is for young people who are going through the youth justice system, so that they don't have to stay in our stink-ass youth justice residences. But also a papakainga where people who don't feel like they can connect can come and live and be part of the whānau as well. So that's my long-term plan, is to create spaces within our hapu, within our iwi, just take it back to the roots, take it back to the whenua, beautiful papakainga, where everything's available, live off the whenua, and our young people and our whānau can thrive in spaces that grow them to their best potential. So that's where I hope to be in 10 years' time, cuz.
Beautiful, my brother. Well, I just want to say, time is the most valuable commodity we have as human beings. The one thing we can never get back. We can always get back money. We can always get back things, but time spent is time lost. So thank you for sharing as much time as you have with me tonight, that you could have shared with anybody else in the world, my cousin. And hopefully people take value from this for years to come. And this won't be the last time, I hope, that we sit down. Not only on here,
always keen on the yarns.
But also in the physical, my cousin. But also in the physical.
Ka pai.
Thank you so much for watching this full episode of Mind the Mic. It takes a lot of time, energy, and effort to create these episodes. So to know that you've watched and listened to the entire thing means the world to myself and all our hosts. If you could, before you leave, please hit the subscribe button and share this episode out to as many people as possible. It would help us so much. Thank you again to everybody that's still here, still watching. Thank you for all your comments, all your shares, all the DMs. Appreciate you all. Make sure you follow us on every platform. Have an awesome morning. Have an awesome night, depending on where you are in the world. Mind the mic out.
Oi, have you hit the link in bio yet?
Watch full episodes on YouTube or listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all streaming platforms.
Do it.